Hey everybody, how are y'all doing today? I am your host with the most, your Snap DJ, and I'm coming to you tonight with a very special guest on the show. I am here to chat some Snap with Super Duper Ben. Ben, how you doing, man? How's it going?
Good, good. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Ben and I have been kind of in contact a little bit on X, and of course, I heard you on Snap Judgment's podcast most recently. I'll be on there in a little bit, so I'm a little bit nervous
Yeah,
about going on.
yeah,
I don't know really why, because Glazer's amazing, and of course everybody else on there too. But you always kind of have you're always a little bit nervous around Glazer, I think, because he's such a good guy, but he knows everything there is to know about Marvel Snap. So
yeah.
how
He's a
how was
polarizing figure for sure in
yeah,
the
yeah,
Snap
no kidding.
community.
How was your experience there?
It was very good, very
Awesome.
easygoing. Also had my friend Luku on there, who's been around since the very first time I did a giveaway for Snap community. So it was kind of easygoing, but also hard pressing when you're getting asked all these questions about, you know, your expert opinion on these cards, and then he's just like,
Yes.
"Well, this card has been changed," and then you're like, "Oh, crap, I
Yeah.
probably
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah. I call him the hardest working man in Snap, man. He does. I mean, doing videos every single day of the week and also being a
Oh yeah,
teacher is crazy. I mean, I know my wife's a teacher too, and the work that they do is insane. Let alone doing all those videos and stuff like that. So
yeah.
that's awesome, man. Well, listen, thanks for coming on. First of all, plug yourself a little bit. Tell everybody where they can find you. And obviously, just back to the game not that long ago, and you are in the creator program for Marvel Snap. So let everybody know where they can find your content, dude.
Yeah, everything is just at Super Duper Ben. It's either YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Twitter is usually where I'm most active. Really getting close to that 1,000 follower mark. So
Nice.
try to do giveaways every here and again. As you said in reference to, I did kind of take a snap break, kind of just a whole social media break because it was just mentally getting crazy. And then a week into that break, they offered me a spot to be partner in the program, and I was like, well, looks like I'm coming back a little earlier than I expected to. So YouTube still haven't come back, but hopefully videos about 2 to 3 times a week soon, and then streams 2 to 3 times a week as well. So yeah, make sure to catch me over on Twitter though. That's mainly where you're going to see me causing a ruckus over there.
Social media can certainly be that. I
Yeah,
can concur. It's Twitter. I've often said is the worst of them.
yeah,
Just so much negativity there. It's crazy. Like literally, and I'll see it. I mean, I've been doing a wrestling podcast since COVID, and so we get a lot of that there too, which is crazy because you think
yeah.
pro wrestling, it's fake. There's nothing. You know what I mean? It's just like entertainment. You're watching it. Like who cares? Just enjoy it. But oh my gosh, there's so much tribalism in it. And it's insane what you see, and yeah, I 100% agree. It can get to you
Mhm.
after a while. So yeah, totally understand that. So
Yeah,
well, yeah, well, listen, man, I'm glad you're back, and it's cool because you're starting to see some people come back. I know most recently too. I talked about it on my show a little bit earlier that TLSG has come back, which is awesome.
yep.
I loved his stuff, and so yeah, it's cool, man. And I'm sure you're happy to be back, maybe a little refreshed about the game because sometimes it takes stuff away from you a little bit over the course of time.
Yeah, yeah. I think with Snap specifically, it's just kind of one of those things where you can get. It's kind of been. I don't mean to be negative about it, but it has
No,
been stale. I mean, it's just been new cards for me. I know for other people, it might be doing the trick for them, but just new cards for me hasn't been enough to really give me that spark to really want to make content or really want to do stuff lately.
yeah.
So that's kind of a part of the reason why I took a break. It just wasn't really getting the juices flowing anymore. So hopefully I can find that motivation again though.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny you mentioned that, and we'll talk a little bit about that too because I like what you said there. So, I was watching the Snapchat actually today, Cozy and Alex, and Cozy was kind of talking about the same thing. He had mentioned that the Snap is fun, but there's just something. Seems like there's just something missing.
Mhm.
And like you said, really all it is, and they had talked about that too, very similar to what you said, and how you're getting a new card every week and stuff like that, which is great, but it just seems like it needs something. whether it be, and now, we're going to talk about some things a little bit later on the show, but whether it need something from the roadmap, maybe a new game mode or something, just something along those lines, just make it, get it to that next level a little bit, and just change things up a little bit. So yeah, I'll start there. Like, if you were a dev, what would you do first? What would you look into doing first, to breathe some life, so to speak, into the game a little bit?
I'll kind of go like two ways with this,
Mhm.
dev wise and like community management wise.
Yep.
So dev wise first, I'd say we just need fresh new stuff. I don't even care if it's the like limited time events, like the, when Avengers versus X-Men or whatever. Like, that's cool stuff. That just makes it like it almost completely changes the meta. Like,
Yep.
creates a pocket meta for a week or a week and a half, however long they want to do it. And it's really refreshing and just different, where like you have cards that just nobody wants to ever use, and then all of a sudden you're seeing cards like, I think what was it, Alex Kocha came up with like that surfer deck,
Yes.
and all of a sudden it was number one, and
Yep.
people are just like out of nowhere, this deck of like half of the cards in the deck are just, don't mind my cat here. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I was going to say, I think you got a visitor.
Yeah, she likes when I talk. But yeah, I think just stuff like that, just to show that, like, I don't know, for me, I can see how that could be a difficult thing to come up with because of how much that changes within the game, and it can break things and cause things to just go kablooey. But stuff like that, obviously, I think the whole, we've all been clamoring for a new mode, right? I mean, that's something. It's been on the roadmap for a while.
Mhm.
We've had the very generic roadmap discussions of coming soon, coming later, stuff
Yep.
like that, which is a little frustrating, but also kind of have to understand it from their side. You don't want to put hard dates on stuff if you can't, follow through with it, and then
Yep.
people will be even more upset. So I do understand that. But then I come across, things like community management and just the way that they express themselves, or just announce things. I know not everybody has Discord. Obviously, that's where most of their information is relayed. And unfortunately, it just would be easier if they had, say, they had a Marvel Snap secondary account that just had announcements for things like, hey, this bug happened. Kind of like with US Agent and all that.
Oh my God, that was a nightmare.
I'm glad I didn't have to really deal with it. But yeah, I think that just being able to be transparent, and I know, Twitter and Facebook or wherever everybody else is, I know that's the big pain point, is that, well, not everybody has Discord, so people are not going to see these announcements. And I understand that, which is why I try to relay things through my Twitter now,
Yeah.
having, a little bit more access to information, and being a little bit more privy to things, just trying to get that information out there, and somehow people still find ways to be mad at me for that. But anyway, yeah, I'd say there needs, and I know they were in the midst of having people apply for a community manager. I think that was months ago now, though. So I don't understand how that isn't really a thing yet. But yeah, there needs to be more transparency, and people need to know what the heck is going on. It just kind of seems like, I mean, even from a creator standpoint, there's even been things like, I'm not going to go too far into it, but I will say there's been things that's come out, and it's like, well, why weren't we advised of this, or why didn't we get, like, it's just kind of like, it's stuff like that. So it goes every which way. It's not just the standard community. We see a brunt of it too, and I know I'm newer in that situation, but yeah, it's not always, it's not always, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So just, they are working on it. They understand. Trust me. I see every day. I see messages from people from the team. They understand, and things are, they're trying. They're trying over there.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's perfect, right? No game is perfect. God knows, I've been playing games since, my goodness, I was probably 7 or 8 years old, playing it in television back in the late 70s. So I mean, I get it, and it's, nobody's perfect, and things do get, you're around for a year or so, and it's kind of, everybody's like, it's like when you're first married or whatever, it's so exciting, and everybody's, all that kind of stuff, and then the honeymoon comes, and things, they start to get a little more regular and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
And I would guess that that's maybe where we are here. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
and when you have other things out there, and again, there's so many choices for people to play, whether that be just video games, console games, online games, and now
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the first time. Well, I mean, we had obviously Spider-Man for the video game systems, but now you've got a video game announced that's coming out for PC with the Marvel IP. So Marvel Rivals is going to be out, and of course not the same game, but that in itself, the fact that they've got a lot of people playing this game because of the IP, no doubt they do.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have another thing announced, and I know a lot of the other creators who are doing this game have started to mention that they may start to do that a little bit, whether it's something on the side or do a side channel or so on and so forth. And you can't really blame them, I would guess, for doing that. It's going to be big. People love games like that. I mean, Overwatch is basically an Overwatch clone. So there are going to be people play. So, again, to your point, they have to really start doing something. They have to change something up here a little bit to try to get those people, to play the game a little bit more, or just attract some more attention back to it, I think.
Yeah, I apologize in advance if you can hear.
That's up, man. I have a dog too. It's all good, man. She barks a lot of times when I'm streaming too. It's no big deal.
Hopefully, it's in the background. You can hear me.
That's okay. It's all good.
But yeah, I have seen Marvel Rivals. I'm not a big Overwatch person. I tried it way back when Overwatch.
I wasn't either. Yeah.
Yeah, the first one first came out, and I played it for a couple months, but kind of got bored. It got stale for me. And then in terms of Marvel Rivals, I think it's just one of those things again where it has the Marvel IP. So because of that alone, you're going to be getting tons of people coming to it. I think it's the reason why I joined Snap when I did, like right when it first came out, is because it was Marvel Snap. It wasn't blah 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 Snap. It's the only reason why I think I played it and probably still play it to this day is because it has the Marvel IP. It's great gameplay and everything, but I think without that, I probably wouldn't be involved with it.
Yeah, I agree. I got into this when I did, and I'll ask you the same question. I started this around the Miles season, I guess it was, and when Miles Morales first came out and everything like that. So it was I think it was about a month after beta, maybe, or so. And I got into it primarily because they sucked me in because of the casual thing. Because I'm at the point now where, I was a big gamer. I used to play a lot of World of Warcraft, hours and hours and hours in that game. And it got to the point for me where I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do the raids. I couldn't be there every single day. I had things to do. And so this attracted me for two reasons. Well, obviously one, because I'm a huge Marvel fan, but also because of the fact that they talked about it being for casual players and people who can just get in, play a game, for 3 minutes or whatever and be done. So and I'm sure that attracted a bunch of other people in too, but now you got people kind of sucked in a little bit, and those people that are in there, the people that are maybe up on Infinite Ladder all the time, or even not, the people that are playing a lot of Conquest or just love this game, they enjoy playing it. So for those people that are your main players that are playing a lot, or even the content creators like yourself, they have to be the people who you kind of want to make sure that you're keeping happy. Because they're the ones that are going to keep the people coming in via their content, and also they're going to be the ones that are going to stick around in this for the long haul.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where the game initially started off as, kind of like what you alluded to, is that it's very much like the casual. That's kind of how I started. Was just like, I'll turn this on once a day and log in and do my missions, or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden it just became something so much bigger where I just got you get addicted to it. You just it makes you want to keep coming back. But I think that over I'd say from the 6 month to 9 month range of the game being out, we were kind of almost in a golden age already for the game. Yeah. And then all of a sudden there was just all of these major changes that came on. And while they were good for some, not great for others, it was, a whole debacle with spotlight caches and things like that. Yeah. Whereas people like me now, where we have all but 9 or 10 of the cards that are out, spotlight caches kind of suck for us. So it's we're sitting here using one key hoping we get the new card. We got little to no tokens because we only spend money on the season pass or something like that. That's what I do. So for me, it's like I'm skipping multiple weeks right now just to try to stock up keys for other cards that I really want.
Yeah.
And as content creators, it's like it's even harder. So I can't make content about newer cards because I don't put money into the game. Like I'm not a whale. I don't like it's fine for people that want to do that and they keep the game going. So that's perfectly fine. But it kind of stinks. It's great for newer players. It takes 3 to 6 months to get all those Series 3 cards though.
Oh.
And then once you get those, then it's like, ooh, spotlight caches. You're like, holy shit, damn, I got 3-4 keys. I can get 3 new cards right away.
Right.
Like then it's just like a floodgate, and it becomes, the whole game opens up to you at that point. So I can imagine it's really fun, but to get to that point is like, dear Lord, like I mean, I can't imagine. Like if I started a new account now, I'd probably quit in a week. I don't think I'd even. I don't think I'd have it in me. I don't think I'd be able to do it.
Yeah, that's a shame too, because when I started, I also loved the game because of the new player stuff. I loved climbing up and getting new cards. It was almost like, I mean, I played a lot of Magic. I was playing Magic from when it started in the 90s on up, going to tournaments and stuff like that, and just hanging with friends and everything like that at the tournament places and stuff. And so I enjoyed that because when you're getting new cards, it's like you're opening packs. You don't really have physical packs you're opening, but it kind of reminded me of that. And I enjoyed that. However, that said, like you had mentioned, there's quite a disconnect now when someone starts and I'm seeing it. Actually, I watched TLSG's first or second video back, and he talked about that because he is now missing like 50 some odd cards because he was gone for 6 months. I mean, that is next to impossible to catch up. Because you're not going to you can get, you'll get some out of your spotlights, and you'll get the season pass, and you'll get those. But there's a lot of relevant cards that are big staples in the meta. And if you don't have them, that's very difficult. So I'll ask you, because I've asked everybody that I've had on my show, I think pretty much so far, what would you do to fix the new player experience? And a lot of people had said, start with the Series 3, fix that somehow. Where I've had a couple people tell me, give people cards faster. I had the Kid Snap with me, was him and No Big Deal. We're talking about maybe give bundles, like have a bundle of cards, like a bunch of destroy cards, so that you can make a destroy deck or something along those lines that you can purchase for not a ton of money, reasonable amount of money for the cards, maybe $10, and you can get a bundle of cards to use. So what would you do? Because obviously I think you're right. And I think, enough people have mentioned that on the show that I think that that's a place that needs to be looked at, because not only for new people coming in, but let's say for somebody who leaves the game for a while, like TLSG, like yourself did. And then all of a sudden you find yourself way behind, and it's just like, I can't compete because I'm coming out here. I started a second account just because I wanted to see what it was like. And I'll be honest, it kind of sucks. Like I got through Series 1, Series 2. Once I got to Series 3, I'm on ladder at like level 20, 30, and I'm losing every game because I'm playing against a discard deck that has a destroy deck that has every single card they need. And there I am trying to play like a half-assed long deck that has nothing. So it's like, so I mean, what would you do, if you had the ability? What would you do to make the new player game part of it better?
Yeah, before I go into that main point, just to go off of kind of what you said with you starting a new account and doing that, I think there comes a sense of expectation because you have an account already that's so established, right? Like if I were to do the same thing, it would probably, like for a new player, it would definitely, like the magnitude of how you feel would be significantly less as an actual new player than how me or you would feel starting a new account, because you're like, I know what the potential is, right? As a new player,
that's true. The expectations are higher. You're right.
As a new player, you don't really think of it as like, oh, I really wish I had this and that card. I'm sure new players do, but like they also don't. I'm sure if you're that new, you probably don't really know what's good and what's not.
True.
You haven't played enough. So I know for me, when I first started, it was, everything to me was interesting. Like for us back in the day, a year ago, there was not this many cards. So it was like, you had probably 100 less cards back a year ago. So But to make the new player experience better, I would say is just make it like just dumb it down. Like it just needs to be. It just there doesn't need to be 5 series of cards. First of all, like
Yeah.
at this point, they've made it clear series drops aren't really a thing anymore.
Right.
If they do come back, they come back maybe once or twice a year. Maybe they haven't even gave us concrete evidence on that. If that's even ever going to happen again, it can
Yep.
never happen again. We really don't know.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's maybe series 1, 2, and 3 cards need to just like mesh all together. Maybe it just needs to be all series 3 cards. Maybe you still, when you start the game, I think it gives you what, like the proving grounds cards, and then gives you like a couple free cards as you're going. But I mean, maybe take that collection level down from like having to need whatever it is, 3,200 collection level to get all series 3. Maybe bring that down 1,000, because I mean that's just like, that's an astronomical amount. Or even bring it down to 500. Like we don't have to just simplify it a little bit, because you got to make the gap of people that are going to quit the game early on to having the commitment to wanting to continue and do this. You got to just like slim that down, because if you don't, like I said before, if I started something new, I don't think I could, like, not being biased and not having, if I just didn't even know what the game was and I downloaded it. I mean, I have 2 of my best friends who I've told them the information, like, hey, I stream this. Hey, I do this. Like, I kind of got traction with this. And they're like, oh yeah, we don't play that anymore. And I'm like, well, it stinks. Like, I told them about the game. One of my friends played it for a while. The other one played it for like a week. And they're just like, they see my content, or they see I show them my game in real life. And I'm like, he's like, I don't even know what, like, your whole deck, I don't have any of those cards, and I don't even know what they do. Like, so there's just not as much, there's not as much exposure for people. And, maybe making the spotlight caches available earlier so that you don't need to have all of these cards in order to get these new cards. Plus, you still have so many cards that are trash.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I think I heard Kid or No Big Deal say something, because I listened to it earlier just to kind of gauge the podcast and see how it was going to flow. So but I heard them say something along the lines of like Adam Warlock and things like that. And for me, if I got a brand new card and I opened 5-cost 5/5 Adam Warlock, that is the most worthless card in the game right now, that would make me feel so bad. Like the feels on that would be awful. Card's always been terrible. So the fact that every card in the game right now isn't some sort of impactful is a little unfortunate.
Yeah.
And it just makes makes that grind even worse, because there's cards like that. I mean, even new cards. You got U.S. Agent. That card's useless. I mean,
it's bad card.
Yeah, it's you in a game that since Blob has come out has been a power dump game, and now that's been what, 4 months ever since that card came out. Yes, they fixed it, but ever since then, it's been, now you got Red Hulk, you got Blob, you got Hela, it's all about 6-cost cards now. And that would seem great for U.S. Agent, but 3 power is nothing when it comes down to 23, 27 power from Red Hulk.
I agree. I tried him. I really wanted to have, well, first of all, you mentioned the debacle. I went through the debacle. It was not fun. I just remember saying, I'm like, what is going on? I opened up the first 3 and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to miss it. I'm going to get it on the 4th one. And then I'm looking up at the screen. I'm like, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So then I hit my 4th one, and it's stuck in the whatever that thing is, a treasure chest, whatever they call that. It's stuck in there, and it's just like sitting there, and it's saying 1, and I'm like, all right, that's not doing anything now. So now what do I do? And all the while I'm thinking, well, this sucks. And then I went in, I found that it was a bug, and I'm like, well, I mean, I'm glad they did the right thing, and you got your keys back and all that kind of stuff. So I guess all in all, it wasn't bad. I ended up with Jeff and Mirage for free, basically. So
nice. Yeah.
But yeah, like to your point, Yeah. I mean, that card is, yeah, I had him in a Man Thing deck, figuring, okay, if he's in a hazmat deck or something. But to your point about it, these big cards like Red Hulk couldn't care less about losing 3 power. Yeah, you're going to put him down. He's going to be 20. If he's 24, oh geez, he goes to 21. Darn. I mean, it's like, yeah, that's 100% what's going to happen.
I feel, and this is my personal opinion, I have no insider knowledge on this, but I feel that personally, they don't have as much time to test these cards. And that is the reason why most of these cards are just going to be coming out of Series 5 from now on.
Yeah.
I think they caught a lot of flack with some cards coming out of Series 4 versus Series 5 in the past. And they decided to just go full Series 5. And if these cards just happen to suck or not be as good, maybe down the line they do that series drop and all those cards end up dropping. But I think that they simply don't have the manpower to test these in depth and decide what is not as good as some of these other cards. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. Again, I mean, you've got 5 new cards every month. It's just, I don't see how it would be plausible for them to be able to code it all into the game, test it like crazy. I mean, we saw Blob, and that was only 4 months ago. Like I said, that broke the whole game. Eliath broke the whole game. It was like, it's things like that. We luckily over the past couple of months, I don't think we've seen much of that. So we haven't seen cards that are just been completely destroying the whole meta. So that's nice. But yeah, I think that, well, I shouldn't say that. Red Hulk's kind of crazy.
Red Hulk's a bit pretty, yeah. And I also would probably say we almost saw one too, I think in Firestar, but they caught it.
Yeah, that was going to be busted.
Yeah, absolutely was. And who knows if we'll ever see that again. R.I.P. Firestar. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's so yeah, I mean, you might be right. I mean, and the other way I look at it is being a Magic player, you are getting sets every 3 months. Usually now it's even more so, but sets of Magic, you're getting hundreds of cards. Hundreds. In a lower set, it might be 100 or so. In a bigger set, it might be 200-300. So you're getting tons of cards. Now your expectations from that are a lot of those cards are going to be bad. There are a lot of cards that you just will never use, or
I think 90% of sets in Magic are trash.
Yeah. So you're expecting that from a game that has all that many more cards, but from a game like this, you really can't make too many that are trash, because to your point, if you end up getting that stuff and you're getting your Series 3 cards and you start getting cards like, I don't know, like you were saying, Adam, Warlock, or it's funny you mentioned this too, because Cozy and Alex did a top 10 worst cards list today on their show.
So I mean, seen it yet.
They were talking about M'Baku. They were talking about Uatu. They were talking like some of these cards are just garbage. And I mean, you're no one's ever going to use them. But again, you also made a point earlier that the Avengers and X-Men stuff that they're doing, I like that, honestly. I think like you said, that injects some fun into the game. I think it's something they should continue even over. And I've complained about these up and down. Hot locations suck. I cannot stand hot locations. I hate it. I hate it. Like, they make you play a certain way. When you get a certain, and if you don't and you try to play against it, you're gonna just lose every game. It happened to me recently. So I would say dump them. If you want to have them, have it once a month or something in the middle of the month, but then do those events, because then they can get people to use more cards, to your point earlier. And I think that would just make things a little more fun. Everybody seemed to enjoy them. So, hell, do that. Take some sets of cards together and do that again. I'm all for that. I think it'd be a good change.
Yeah, I think hot locations are kind of a sore subject with pretty much most of the Snap community. I mean, every single time I see a hot location come up, I look at Twitter and everyone is complaining. I usually see them if I either go to Conquest or I'm just like, I don't even want to play the game.
Yeah,
and I
me
just
too.
turn it off.
That's
a whole day without
Conquest myself.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, it's interesting, and hopefully, we will see some things. They do have, some aggressive goals now. Whether or not, like you mentioned earlier on those lists, those goals all get fulfilled, we don't know. But hopefully, you know, in the next few weeks or few months, we get something, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, because there is something that they did mention there that got data mined that maybe will bring a little bit more spice into the game. So we'll go over that in just a bit. First, I want to talk to you while we're on some controversial topics. Let's talk about these things, shall we? The monetary stuff of the game. And again, I usually talk to everyone who comes on about the economics of the game. You mentioned a little bit of it already. Emotes. These, look, my stance on anything really that is monetary wise is, and you mentioned it earlier too, they're going to have the people that are whales. They're going to have the people that are just going to buy everything. That's just the way they are. And those people would probably buy everything no matter what game they were playing. So that's what they're counting on, because I mean, and for the people who object to things like this, I tried to instill, and I talked about it with the kid in them, that every single game you see today, regardless of what it is, you know, the Spider-Man game has skins for Spider-Man that you can purchase, packs that you can purchase, extra content. So when the game gets a little older, they'll put out another level that you can play, and you can purchase it for $19.99. So every game, no matter what it is, video game, mobile game, whatever, they're doing these things all over the place. So I get it. I understand that these things, unfortunately, are probably one of the most wanted things in Marvel Snap. Everybody wants them. When they were shown at whatever convention that was a couple months back, everybody thought, oh my God, this is great. I'm going to be able to get these. Well, now you're seeing it. It's not so easy. It's very monetary. You have to either collect all the cards in the albums, which isn't easy. A lot of them, unless they're the Dan Hip ones. But other than that, they're 1,200 gold a piece. So, or now they're in the cosmetic shop, which is cool. But again, you're talking 20, what is it? $30. I think they said equivalent of you know, the American dollar. So very expensive just for some. Now, the argument is, I guess, you can use these more. You can use these in every single game, besides other than a variant that you probably won't see much. But I don't know. What's your stance on this kind of thing? I'm to the effect, like I said, look, they need to make money. I get it. You know, every game needs to make their money. But what do you think about this whole emote thing? I know there's a lot of people who really, really are upset about it. I know that some people just said, whatever, it is what it is. I'm probably not going to buy any because it's just too pricey for me. But what's your take on this emote thing in this part of the game?
Yeah, there's a lot to break down with this whole thing. It's long story short, you don't have to buy it.
Right. No, you don't.
I mean, it's first of all, even if you do buy it, you don't own it. It's second dinner's property. So like regardless,
it's not anything physical.
Yeah. It's too much. I mean, that's obvious. I think everyone will tell you that. I mean, a super rare variant that I think you're going to get more excitement and enjoyment out of rather than an emote that costs 1,000 more gold is just kind of ridiculous to me. I think dropping it 1,000 to 1,200, like dropping it down to match a super rare variant or something along those lines, I just think I think it's too late at this point. Unfortunately, they've set the price point, they've had it out there, and unfortunately, I don't see them. If they cut it down, then people are going to be like, "Well, what about me, who just bought them all, and now am I going to get refunded?" So it's what's done is done. I don't think it's going to change at this point. No. We've complained about it. It is what it is. I do kind of not like when people say, oh, it doesn't really cost $30 because you can get the season pass, you can get the gold pass, you can get this, you can get that. And then if you just are patient and you wait, you can get it for free. Well, that's not really how it works. It costs 2,200 gold, which if you wanted to spend money on gold, it costs $30. Right. It is a $30 image, which you can use against opponents who might even have you muted and they don't care anyway. So I like it for the flavor of the game. It gives it some more aspects, some more variety, some flavor, some emotion. Me personally, I pretty much mute everybody I play unless I know who they are, and then I give them the old fist bump. Because I can't stand when people just emote and go crazy with all
emote spammers.
It bothers me. I try to take the game a little seriously now. But yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, if people want to spend money on it, sure, it benefits the game. It's cosmetics. It's great. I just think they just got. I think they got greedy with this one. It's a
Yeah.
little much.
Yeah, I would have said go around. I would have even said $10 less. If you went around 20, then I could see people, because again, around the same price as a card. It's like you said, you're not ever owning these things. It's not like they're ever physical or anything like that, and they mean nothing to the game itself. So, and again, to your point, a lot of people do mute people. I mean, I know I do too. If somebody is sitting there and they're spamming me every 2 seconds with emotes, it's over. I'm hitting the mute button. So I don't know. I think it's they're trying to add some fun to the game. I get that, and in a way that you can't really communicate with the other player across from you, similar to tabletop games like I played in the past. That's a part of the game that's missing. You really have no way to talk other than through this. Unless you're playing somebody like on a Discord or something like that, and you're talking back and forth while you're playing. I mean, you could do it that way, but yeah, I don't know. Cosmetics to me, look, even going back to a game as simple as Candy Crush, right? You're paying for another level. If you get stuck, you're paying them that 99 cents. So even back to that, this is how these games go forward. This is how they stay relevant. And otherwise, if you don't have that and nobody's buying any of this stuff, the game's probably not going to last. Because a season pass said they get a lot of people buying the season pass. It's not going to totally fund their game going forward. So yeah, I agree. It is what it is, and So all right, gonna move on here. Of course, that's you. There's the cat. I got so lucky with this. I was telling everybody on my audio show today. This is from the Dan Hip album. I don't mind those because even the Dan Hips are kind of cheap. So even if you and a lot of times you could still pull those in the collection track, which is good. So at least those you maybe stand a little bit of a better chance to get. But this one, I was crazy because I had all but 2. The Dark Hawk one appeared in my shop, so I knew I was going to get it. And then I ended up deciding to open one of those ones where it says I have a better chance of getting the card. So I'm like, let me give it a shot. 800 gold I spent. I got the Adam Warlock. I was shocked. I'm like, there's no way. Like, what are the odds?
Awesome.
I couldn't believe it. So I got her, and I kind of like this because I use this now if I play Galactus. Right when I play my Galactus, that goes up, and I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
A good one's like, what can I do?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of nice when you can get them from the albums at least. So
yeah, I think just to touch on albums, I think I think the way that I think it was a miscommunication when they first came out with those. It was people really expected it to be here's this new feature. You can get this done really quickly. That's how everybody had it communicated, was like, oh, these are going to be really easy to complete and really easy to do. And it's a long-term goal. It's a long-term thing. And sure, if you wail out, you're probably going to be able to complete them. But if you don't, it's a very here and there type thing where every now and again you'll get a reward. And I think now it's a good feeling thing. Like for me, I have none of them completed. And I've been playing the game since the game first came out. The Dan Hip one that just came out, like the one you're showing for the emote, I think I have 8 out of 12, and that's the one I have most for because all I use are Dan Hips pretty much. So yeah, it's nice, and it's cool when you open up caches and you're like, oh, that one goes into an album, and I just got 1,000 collector tokens. Like, it's nice now that there's like 10 albums, but when it first came out, it was definitely shaky.
It was a feel bad, no doubt. It was a feel bad. I think I heard. I was listening to. What the heck is it? The Born to be Cosmo podcast. And they were talking about that, and they were saying how bad. I think Zombies Go Nom Nom was the one who mentioned it, saying how it definitely feels bad because again, when people saw that they were coming, everybody got excited, and then all of a sudden, the only way you can get them is in these albums. And hell, I have a couple of these done, but the albums that are out there, like that one, the Gala album, forget it. There was no way I was spending. They were on 1,200 gold. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So I think I have one at the Dr. Doom, and that's it. I will never collect that one because there's no way I'm spending that money on those variants.
I got the Moon Knight Gala, and I'm like, that's the one card I wanted. It's all white. It looks so cool. And I'm like, and that's it. I literally will never buy another one of those. So the only way I'll ever see them is if they pop open in a cache at some point or sometime and I get lucky. But other than that,
It didn't start off well. I agree. I talked
Yeah.
about that on my show, and I mentioned that how I was upset with that because you get everybody kind of hyped up about it, and then all of a sudden you see this, and you're like, "Well, great! Now I
Yeah.
have to go and spend all that money just to get one of these emotes that I want." So yeah, for sure it didn't start out well. I think it is getting a little better. Like you were saying with the hips and stuff like that, at least, and the pixels, things that people do get more of on the regular collection track. So at least you're going to have a chance to to fill those and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, so I agree. I think it is getting a little bit better. So
Mhm.
all right, so moving on here, I want to talk a little bit about this. This, of course, is the Snap Grand Prix. This is being sponsored by Snap Judgments, and they are up to $1,000 prize because they had a sponsor for it who's going to be doing that. So that's amazing. It starts on the 27th and the 28th, so it's coming up soon. It is free to enter. All you have to do is go to their Discord to do so. So I'm going to ask you, have you played in any of these leagues, tournaments, or anything like that? And what did you think of the experience? I played in their Snap Judge League that they just had. I loved it, man. I went 2-2, so it wasn't really about winning for me, but I met some amazing people, and I got to talk to some folks, some people that I've had on the show. I just thought it was awesome. It brought me back to my days again of Magic, where we sat across the table, we met new people all the time, we're trading cards with people and stuff then, and it just brought me back to that because I was like, wow, this is really cool. I met some new people who I'm sure I'm going to stay in touch with in one way or another. So, have you played in any? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I played in Pursuit Gaming's tournament where it was like a 3v3 kind of style.
Yeah. Okay.
We unfortunately got bounced very, very close margin, but got bounced in the first round.
Oh, okay.
It was a fun experience. Obviously, it had many different aspects to it in terms of like banning decks, and then also like 2 out of 3 of your team members would have to win their matches of best of 3s. So it was a very long thing. But they tried to experiment and do something new, which I thought was pretty cool. So I enjoyed my time with that. Also, I've played in a guy named About Time Joey. He's very close with a guy named Mr. Fruit, who is a big YouTuber. So I got to play in that. I finished second in that.
Nice.
That was like right when I first started doing content and was starting to get into doing everything. And then I've also done the Snap Judgments League, like you did. I lost my first 2, was 0-2, and was like, oh crap. And
Same thing.
And then won my next 2, so I ended up 2-2 as well. And then I played in the Snap Team League, which was created by Felicity.
Cool.
And KK Sparkles had drafted me or chose me to be on her team alongside Lufku, Doug Pie, Hannah's Cat Cafe, Elite Hassa, and Amanda Party. So that was a really cool and interesting aspect to deal with, because some weeks you would play and some weeks you'd get subbed out and other people would play. So our last week in that was actually just the other day, and I had played Felicity on my stream. So I got the chance to play her and I beat her. So that was really nice. And our team unfortunately didn't do so hot throughout the tournament, throughout the league. But it's just really cool to meet people that I didn't think I'd ever really have a chance to meet. I was very, very nervous playing against Felicity because, her and like Cozy are very close. So it's like you got people that are really big, and my dog is expressing his enjoyment for it.
Yeah, it's all mine's roaming around here somewhere too. It's all good. All good.
So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me. It's not even really about winning and losing, which is why I chose to take a break, because I did it right after that first week of Snap Judgment and also the Snap Team League, because I lost both those matches and I was in a bad place, and I was like, I am taking this way too seriously.
Yeah.
I need to step back and be like, it's a game. I need to start enjoying it again and stop taking it so crazy serious. And I just kind of felt like I was always letting people down and all this other stuff. So now I've just kind of refreshed my mind, and I'm like, I'm just happy to be here, happy to be able to,
that's good.
express myself and do the best I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, actually, I was speaking of Felicity. She's going to come on my show, so that's kind of cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, she was just on with the kid snap, and no big deal as well. So I'm like, yeah, let me reach out. Why not? It's like, and yeah, so she's gonna come on, and yeah, she seems awesome. I was listening to her on their show, so yeah, it's fantastic, man. It's really cool. That's one thing I will say. This the community has been really really awesome. Yeah, everybody who I've talked to and I've met, and I know, look, people can be, you might see some out there that might be a little bit negative, but everybody that I've run into, that I've had come on the show and I've talked to personally and stuff like that, have all been really awesome people. Very, very appreciative of that, because again, it's sometimes just hard to find that. So yeah, that's cool, man. But yeah, if you want to get in on this, it is free to join. So make sure you head over to their Discord, and you too can get in on this tournament. I think Glazer was saying today they have like 150, 160 people already signed up. So that's awesome. So yeah, get in on it. It is April 27th and 28th to get in. So do that and go check that out. All right. Going to move on here, and I want to talk about some cards with you a little bit. So let's go back and we'll talk a little bit about last week's card. Of course, Red Guardian. He is a 3/3 on reveal effect, the lowest power card with -2 power, and remove its text. So obviously enemy card, and remove its text. So what did you think of Red Guardian? I think he's pretty good. He seems to be playing in a lot of decks. Right now, as of course a tech card. I have him in a bunch of different ones today. I used it a little bit ago to shut off a Wong in a lane. I used him against a Sunspot. I used him against the Nebula to shut those down. So pretty good card, I think, right? What do you think of Red Guardian?
So I don't have them because I'm skipping and saving my keys. But from a perspective of someone who's seen the card played against me many of times and seen a lot of gameplay with it, he's not bad, and I don't think he's great. I think he is a very this is one of those cards where I'm like, I think this could have been a Series 4 card. Okay. Where I'm like, I wish it was a little bit more accessible, because it is a tech card, and you see things where you have like Enchantress and Shang-Chi, and like you have access to all of those. And now this is more of a niche tech card that some people might and might not have once it disappears. I think people are going to regret not getting it.
Yeah, I think
so. Because especially myself, I might tonight, because it's the last chance pretty much to go and grab them, and I have like 5 keys, and I'm like, I should just go do it. Yeah. But yeah, he can just pretty much win you a game. If you shut off something like a Wong, like you said. There's also things like killing Iron Man, and
the Tribunal deck. He can destroy a Tribunal deck.
This card, every time I see it come out played against me, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I'm ready to just quit immediately. I'm just mad about it. I'm just sitting there thinking, why are you playing this card, and why does it have to be right now against my deck that really needed that to not happen? So yeah, it's good. It's a good card. I think that people are, like I said, I think people are going to be punching themselves or kicking themselves in the butt a few weeks from now when they don't have them. Another kind of topic of discussion really quick is just make sure that if you want a card, go get it, because it's going to be 3 or 4 months before you see that card again.
Good point. Good point. I mean, and that's where, like, people like yourself, I'll consider myself, in that little group too, where, you can go out and you can listen to people who have either played against it or played with the card before you do get it, and kind of make that choice. I like Drew Barry's videos. I really do, that he does the snapper pass, because he will tell people, listen, usually he will always tell them to just wait, hang on for a week or so, see how the card is going to be, and then make the choice, so that you're not making a bad mistake, especially if it's, because look, it is tough now. Tokens are scarce, very hard to get. And if you're using up your keys and you get one of those weeks, because you're always going to do it, you might get a week where you're going to get super lucky and grab this past week after US Agent. I grabbed him on my first key. First key open, I got him. So I got very lucky. But there are many weeks where I went through where it took me all 4. So, and they're not easy to get either. Yeah, getting up that collection track and stuff like that is not the easiest thing to do. So it's really sometimes best to wait a little bit and to just see how a card's performing. I mean, look at a good example for this is Grandmaster. The hype that card got. Oh my God, that was like the next coming of the best card that we've ever had in a game, and it very much underperformed.
Yeah,
very much underperformed.
I still don't have it. I skipped it.
Yeah, I mean it's not I had it, but it's like I found myself not you. Everybody's trying to come up with these goofy things. Oh well, look, you could do this twice, and you could do this twice. Okay, but it really wasn't that great. So you really have to watch, and when you're making decisions about what you need to do economy wise and where you want to go, you got to take a look at that and see, all right, well, look, this is a skip week for me. I just can't make this happen. And sometimes you regret it. I know when I was talking to the kid and stuff last week, and no big deal, they were talking about Cannonball. Both of them skipped Cannonball. And now all of a sudden, Cannonball's rocking in every deck, man. You're seeing Cannonball all over the place. So it's like, and then you think to yourself, well, that sucks. This thing really caught on. I didn't pick it up. And now, like you said, you're waiting 4 or 5 months now to see this card again. So yeah, 100%. I agree with you, man.
It's kind of it's a toss up where you have, like, the way I look at it is like, even myself, I'm a content creator, but I look at it as, unless you are someone who needs the card immediately to show everyone the card and expose the card for content, or do it for your side hustle or your job or whatever it is, then go do it. Or you wait 6 days and then you go and buy it and go open for it if people say it's good. Or it's really good, like Alive. And then you're just like, okay, I'm going to get that card.
Yeah.
There's kind of levels to it, but for me personally, like I said, like I'm taking the risk of just not bothering getting some of these new cards, because it's about being kind of smart and holding on to resources and waiting it out. There's cards in the future that I'd rather have than some of these cards that are coming out now. And maybe it'll bite me in the butt, but I'll just have to play around that later in the future. But yeah, if any casual players are listening, you definitely just wait and let everybody else figure out if the card's good enough before you go and just try to open with one key and then get mad and close the game.
Right? Yeah. Well, we've all done that. Oh man, it's crazy what a digital card game can make you do sometimes. It's all the. I've come up with my goofy little thing for it too, and of course this is based on Drew Barry's thing, but I'm calling it open or token for the little thing when I talk about whether to get it or not. But yeah, so I agree. You sometimes have to see how these cards play out. They don't always hit right away, like Cannonball. Sometimes they're winners, like you said. They're just must-have cards, like you were talking about Goliath being that. So yeah, 100%. Best off to just, if you don't have the ability to get them all, you don't have the ability to get all the cards because of the tokens, because of the keys. Save up and just wait and see, and you'll figure it out. So, all right, so let's look at. We got a new card coming tomorrow. That is White Widow. White Widow is a 2/2. She is on reveal. Add a Widow's Kiss to your opponent's side of this location, and the Widow's Kiss is a 0/0 ongoing. This has -4 power. Disable this ability if your side of this location is full. So they can fill the lane, and she'd be a 0/0. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You're still sending over a 0/0 card. So this is going to probably be and catch on to junk decks, I would imagine. Annihilus is already being played. I'm seeing a lot more of Annihilus being played lately. So I would think that this pretty much fits. And I just heard Lambie talking about it too. In the Annihilus deck, you would play Hood on turn 1, but you really didn't ever have much of a turn 2. So a lot of times you're skipping, or else you're playing the Hood and you're playing the Demon on turn 2. Which now you don't have to do. You have this in here as a perfect 2 spot in that deck. So I'm assuming that that's going to make its way into junk. And really, this is a good junk card, man, because if they don't fill that lane, they're looking at a -4, and that is not easy to overcome. When you have, even when you have a -1 on your side of the board, somebody hits you with a Scorpion, and you have a couple cards that are negative power, or you know, just 1 power on the board because of a Scorpion hit, that's bad. So what do you think of White Widow? I know Drew Berry said it was a pass with this one. Or not a pass, a snap, rather, a snap. I'm sorry. But I don't know. I think she could be a pretty good card. But that said, she's not going to fit in every type. I don't think you're just going to play it in every deck. It's an archetype card.
No, yeah, it's a niche card for a specific archetype. There is really no. I'm sure someone will try to like stuff this into something goofy and say it's good, which it might be until everyone starts playing it. But this is where I'm stuck, because I don't want to open for Red Guardian because I want to open for this, because I think that this is going to make Annihilus type decks just so much better. It's just so consistent. It's pretty much what, like, I guess, like what everybody want, like the previous Black Widow, like how good that card used to be. I think that this card is going to kind of just like take over and just be slotted right into these Annihilus decks and just be super, super. I guess it's going to be so impactful because it's just another card that allows for you to shove something onto their side of the board, which I think is what Annihilus type decks have been missing. Yes, there's Debris and there's Viper and there's all these things, but like, me personally, I'd rather have this in the deck than Viper. I'd rather just like take that and swap it out completely. Or you have both of them in the deck and you're just able to shove cards over to your opponent's side so much more frequently. And with that being said, you can just like, you might even be able on like turn 4 or turn 3 to just lock out a lane completely. Like there could be a certain set of circumstances that happens where you just are able to, like if Central Park comes up and squirrels come up on the board, or anything that just like it, in my mind, I think that this is going to be arguably the most impactful card we see this month. And I'm more, the 2/2 is what gets me. I think there's not as many impactful 2-drops that we've seen in a long time. There are some good ones, but they're usually good because you're playing like a 2/6, but then it's drawing 2 cards for the opponent, you know?
Right.
It's there's not as many in the game like Jeff that are really good, where I think you're going to see White Widow has got a lot of play rate because it's going to win a lot of games, and you're just going to be able to focus on the other 2 lanes and shove stuff into one lane and be able to just like, it's going to be so easy to win matches with this card. I feel like the only thing with it is I think you're not going to be able to get as many cube wins with it, because people are going to get locked out and they're going to leave. So you're not really getting a lot of shock value. And unfortunately, it might not be a good card because of the fact that in higher tier ladder, you're probably not going to be winning a lot of high cube games with it.
Yeah, the Annihilus shell with this is going to kind of be a little gross, I think, because it's already doing well. And the fact that, you know, Lamb even mentioned Galactus, and you could mess around with Galactus with this because even if you want to, they used to use that trick with Galactus with Ghost Spider. You can stick a Ghost Spider in that deck, move her out of there, give them the 0/4, have them go and try to fill that lane as quick as they can so they don't get more stuff pushed in there, and you could end up winning just because of that. So there's ways you can do that. But yeah, this is and you know what? It's funny because I think it is, the reason why it's out there is because I think it's a decent counter to the big 6-turn decks. So your Hella decks and your Tribunal decks, and if you start shooting those negative power things or rocks or whatever the case might be over to those lanes, you're limiting where that stuff can go. And so I think that's probably just a natural counter for what we're seeing in the meta. Yeah,
I think this card you're going to see it everywhere. Annihilus decks, like you said, are already good, and I see this just being like it will probably be a top 3 deck when Cam Best comes out. After this card's been out for about a week, you're going to see that on the list. It's going to be there. It's going to be wrecking havoc. But I do think that people are going to start, to be interested to see counter decks that come out. It'll probably be a lot of Annihilus versus Annihilus type decks, and who plays their Annihilus first or who has priority. And, it's going to be a lot of like close matches along those lines. But yeah, it's a good card. I think if out of every card so far this month, besides the obvious Red Hulk, this is definitely probably the most impactful, and you should definitely go and get it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And great character too. I love her character from the comics, and I love her character in the movies and stuff. Obviously, she's in Hawkeye, and she's going to be in Thunderbolts when Thunderbolts comes out. So yeah, great character. She's basically stepped in for Scarlett Johansson, who is obviously left the MCU. So yeah, I think so too. I think definitely I would say go get this one. The cash that she's the other cards that are with her are Nico. And of course, I forget the other one now. I know Nico's one, and I'm never going to remember who the second one is. But yeah, Nico's a good one. Look to open for too. If you don't have Nico, she's a must get, especially if you want to play Destroy or any deck really. I mean, she fits into anything. Nico's just a great card. So if you don't have her, and I can't, like I said, remember the other card off the top of my head, but I would get this card too. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a good one in the month. And then we got Valentina left, and Valentina to me cool, but I think she's generally a Loki card.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll probably be one. Like I said, I'm saving, so it'd probably be the only card that I open Spotlight Catches for this whole month will probably be White Widow. And I got Red Hulk with tokens because it was just busted.
Nice.
Because I was like, I think I only got Jeff, Galactus, and now that card, Red Hulk with tokens. So I very rarely spend them. But once I saw how broken it was, I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and do that.
You know what? Now that you mentioned the big guy, let's go past this here. Let's talk about him a little bit. Red Hulk is we may have another blob problem here a little bit, because honestly, man, there isn't a time when I of course I have him in decks. You almost have to, and almost everybody does. But when you're seeing him scaling, you're almost afraid to not use energy. And there's sometimes when you just can't. You may not have a card you can cast on a certain turn or put out there in a certain turn, like turn 2. If you don't have any 2-cost cards or any more 1-cost cards, you're sitting there. And so, what do you think? Now we have an OTA coming up this week. So, do you think that he immediately gets nerfed? I would definitely say he is definitely a candidate for getting nerfed. I've heard suggestions, put him down to a 6-8 to start, lower the power increased instead of +4 to +3. But what are you thinking of? I mean, and here we were talking a little bit about it earlier about getting, a little upset with the game. I cannot tell you this past, I think it was Saturday. I was playing Saturday night when I got some time to play. I literally must have gotten beaten by this card probably 7 straight games. And I'm just seeing, I'm like, not again.
Yeah. And it's coming.
There's nothing you can do about it, because you can't, the only thing you could do is if you don't have priority, and most of the time when you're playing people with him, you do. So you can't shang it. And even if you don't have it, you're playing a guessing game as to whether they're going to put it. Sometimes, you'll figure it out, but it's not always easy to do. But man, oh man, is this card good. Holy cow. I don't know that they thought he was going to be as good as he is, but there's rarely a time when I'm playing this card that he is not a 23, a 24 in and around there. I never have him when he's below 20. Never. So that just goes to show you how many people you're not using your energy the entire turn. So what do you think of this? And is it something you see nerfed? And if it is, how would you say to do it?
To not make people rage, I think that they should let it slide for maybe a couple more weeks. Because
they bought the card.
Me personally, I just bought the card like a week ago, not even a week ago. So if it gets nerfed, I'm going to be a little upset.
Yeah.
But I'll kind of understand why that would happen. The change that I think needs to be made is either they need to change it to like it having to be possibly Yeah, sorry, drink from the wife.
Oh, there you go. Nice. Yeah.
It either needs to change to the obvious +3 power, or it would have to be lowered like the 6.8, 6.9, something like
Yeah.
that. But just I think I heard the kid or someone said something along the lines of, you have this buff up once and it's already more than Giganto,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
which Giganto has a huge downside to it. So it's like
Yep.
that doesn't make much sense. Then again, Giganto is what, Series 3, and this is a Series 5 card, so I guess
Right.
it kind of does make a little sense. But yeah, I think if they touch this now this week, it'll be a little controversial with
Mm,
them touching and updating cards so recently that just came out.
yeah. You'll be getting into a Darkhawk
Um,
situation.
yeah. So I'd
Yeah.
rather
That's,
they didn't touch it. I know
yeah.
that sounds crappy because it's just so dominant right now. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know what they could really, because I feel like it's still going to be really good. I mean,
Yeah.
if they regardless of how they change it, they're not going to nerf it into the ground because we saw Elias stay around for how long.
Yeah.
I see this card possibly, like, maybe they could change the text so that it's maybe just while it's in your hand, maybe not while it's also in play, or maybe while it's just in play and it can be like a 615. I don't know, something along those lines, so that it's just not getting upwards of 20 power, where
Mm,
the only cards you're seeing get up there are Blob, which to be honest really isn't seen much anymore, and
no.
then Infinite, which is Hella. So I mean,
Yep.
you're not really seeing that kind of display of power since we had original Blob back. Geez, I feel like I keep referencing Blob. But yeah, I mean, he was an issue back then, and now I think Red Hulk's become an issue. So I'd understand if they did change it, because people have been complaining, and when they do that, they tend to change things.
Yep.
But I think reasonably, I think they should maybe hold off on it for another couple weeks until maybe the patch comes out, or something along those lines. But yeah, it's a problem. It's definitely probably the best. Well, not probably. It's the best 6-drop in the game right now. So it needs to be changed, but who knows when they're going to do that.
I've seen so much high Evo being played too, and he's in that deck now. I mean, why not? They
Yep.
put him in there with She-Hulk and Hulk, and like all three of them are in there now. So, I mean, and they've taken out Infinite, so it's actually made that deck probably better, because you don't have the condition of being able to or having to skip your turn to play Infinite to get him out, and he'll most of the time be bigger anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just a really good card. I knew pretty much right away, because when I was playing with him when I first got him, like, this guy is just, I was sharing screenshots of him, like 624, 623, I'm like, this guy is just big, man, and he is going to be a problem. So yeah, no doubt. I would probably agree with you. They don't want to run into a thing where people will say, oh, look, you made us buy this card and now you're going to nerf it. And now we don't want it anymore. So yeah, you're probably right. They probably will.
At least let it last the season that it came out in, right? Like,
Yeah.
at least give it a month to be out and then change it. Like, that's my take on it. It was the same thing with like Baron Zemo and people being upset with Mildex, because it is the Baron Zemo season. Let him have his spotlight for a month and
Yeah.
then let them change him afterwards. Like, I know cards like I can't even Cable. I know people are really upset with that card right now. Yondu's around. Everybody's upset with that. So I get it. It's frustrating, but you gotta let it have a month or a month and a half to be a thing, and then you can complain when it has been a thing for too long, right?
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. All right, so I'm gonna backtrack here a little bit, and I'm gonna go. Let's talk. I want to talk about this a little bit, because this card really intrigues me, and I think this is going to be a blast. Whether now, this is not going to win you probably a lot of games. This is probably not going to win you any kind of tournaments or anything like that. But I think for folks like yourself that are doing content, this is going to be an awesome card for you guys to use, because you literally can go into a stream and be like, all right, we're Arisham streaming tonight, and we're just going to see this to me. And I said this in a post when this came out. I'm like, all right, guys, you wanted draft mode? Here you go. you got Arishem, and there's your draft mode. Essentially, it's what it is. If you know you're getting all these cards in your deck, and yes, you can build a deck around it to use it. Some people are saying, "Oh, put Blob in the deck because he'll just eat as many of the cards in there as he can." And sure, you can have all of that, but the question is, you're going to have an extra 12 cards in your deck. Are you going to see any of those cards that you actually physically put in there? So yeah, I mean, this though, to me, I like this because they're changing the game up a little bit with this card. I don't know whether they're going to designate it anything. I think in the past it would have been a big bad, but I don't even know if they're doing that stuff anymore anyway. But yeah, what do you think of this card? I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people, streamers and stuff, are going to be playing this on stream, and I think it's going to be really fun to watch because you're just going to get a random bunch of stuff, and God only knows some of the garbage that you can get in your hands that we had mentioned a little bit earlier. Imagine getting like M'Baku and Adam Warlock and all that stuff in your hand, and you're like, oh God. But I don't know. I think this is just going to be a fun card and just something different to kind of shake up things a little bit.
Yeah, this is the card I am most excited for. I haven't been this excited for a card. There's another card coming out that's going to be like competitively really good called Fastos.
Yes.
Which I also really want, and I think that comes out the week before Arishem.
Okay.
But Arishem is just like, I think it's what a lot of us have just been wanting, which is something that's not maybe not considered competitively like really, really dominant and needed in every deck. Like all these cards that we've been talking about are like, are they competitively good? Because every card that comes out seems to just like, how good does it make other decks? Whereas this is its own thing. We can all just have fun with it. We can laugh. We can jump for joy, and the fact that we are just going full Gamba mode and trying to cause craziness to happen. But yeah, I think that there is a very strong possibility this could be like really good. Like it could even be competitively really good, possibly.
Okay. All right, I want to hear it.
Because there are enough cards in the game right now to manipulate your deck and manipulate things that the chances of you like missing out really badly, yes, it's giving you 12 random cards, but just the +1 max energy is insane. Like,
no doubt.
That's ridiculous. It can get you so far ahead. And like, let's not confuse it with the fact that you're still getting your cards as well. Yes, I know it's a 50-50 chance at that point that you're going to be seeing those cards, give or take. But even if you're getting random cards, there's a good chance that those random cards are still going to be playable. And if you're able to keep up, like if you're able to keep ahead of your opponent all throughout the game, and you can pull off like a magic to get a turn 7, or you can do, this or that, there's obviously this card's going to require so much testing and crazy play to even understand if it could be viable competitively. But I just think it's fun. It's such a fun, like, we don't see this anymore. We don't see cards come in here. It's like, oh, here's Eliath that kills every single one of your opponent's cards and makes them want to uninstall the game.
Last turn you lose.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas I feel like this is creative. This is something we haven't really seen from Second Dinner in a while, which is just, here's a bunch of crazy BS that you don't know what's going to happen, and you can have fun with your friends, with your stream. You can stream this, you can do tournaments with it, you can. It's goofy, it's fun, I love it. It's a great content card, and while, like I said, it might not be competitively fun, I think I personally kind of just want to try to take this to infinite when it comes out. Like, save this for the next season that comes out, because I think it's the last card of the season.
It is.
Yeah. And then that next season, just go full Arishem and try to be a goofball and get to infinite with it. That would just be so much fun.
See, I know that they have this as the last card. Man, if I were them, I think they missed an opportunity.
Yeah.
I think this should have been the season pass card. I really do.
Yeah,
because this way you can give everybody a chance to get it, right? They pay for the season pass, they get it, and you have an entire month to mess around with this card. And then you're not turning right around into the next season where you're going to be wanting the next season pass. So it's going to be like a 1 week wonder. I'm going to play the crap out of this in Conquest. I will probably do nothing else now in Conquest but use this, just because I think it's hilarious. And like you said, this is similar to, you know, if people who are listening out there have not played any other card games or CCGs other than this is as close as you're going to get to a draft mode. You don't know what cards you're going to get. Now in draft, you can kind of pick. You go through the list and you can kind of pick which ones you want, but you don't know what's going to come up for you to pick from. So it's very similar to that. And you can either, you know, you may get some amazing luck and you may get some horrible luck in what you get here. So yeah, you know, I love this. I just think this is cool. It's something, but like you said, that extra energy can't be overlooked. You are going to be able to play your other cards. You know, I still wonder how, I don't know how they're going to do this. I'd imagine they're going to have some kind of a graphic similar to High Evo, where you'll probably see him maybe in the shadow of the start that way, and you'll see that. But
or like Thanos, and
kind of like that you just know that he's in the deck. But I don't even know, like, because there's nothing on the card about whether does he start in your hand, is he just in the deck, is he just, like, you don't really know. So there's nothing, and they could mess around with this a little bit more too, because obviously this is just data mine, so they may put something else in there. I don't think they'll start him in your hand. I think he's just going to end up being in the deck, and just like High Evo, and it just becomes what it is.
It could also be something like if they really are trying to make this like a viable card, which that's the thing I haven't got. Like, I don't understand it yet. I don't know if it's like a full-on goofy card, like they're coming out with this and they're just being like, it's goofball, or if they're coming out with this and they're gonna be like, we're gonna monitor this and see if it's playable. Like, because I think a lot of people are gonna, there's gonna be a lot of people that buy this or get this card thinking it's like a 7/7, it's a once, like no other card is like this, and casual players are gonna be like, oh, it must be good, I want to get it, and then they're gonna be like, this card sucks. like and then they're gonna be mad about it, right? So then it's gonna be like, okay, well, what do? Do they say shuffle 9 cards, shuffle 8 cards, shuffle 7? Like, do they keep adjusting this card, or is this just a goofball card and it stays exactly how it is? I hope it stays, but if they want to make it like a viable card, I'm all for that too. I mean, that would be interesting to see this card take down tournaments, or, you know, take down competitive play. It would be so interesting. Just the fact that it's so random, it would be. But the more and more cards that come out, you know, that shuffling 12 random cards in your deck becomes exponentially more difficult, right?
I like it. I mean, look, he is, obviously, if you watch the Eternals, you know what he is. They're basically gods. So they are very, very all-powerful type beings. So it should do something that is better than everything else. The only other card we have that's over 6 is Death in the entire game. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this. And like you said, I love the idea about having all, you know, if some of the creators want to run some tournaments and say, okay, we're going to run an all RSM tournament and stuff like that'd be phenomenal. I think that'd be amazing. I know I would get in on it. I think that'd be fun. So all right, well, there you go. So that is RSM. We'll move forward here and we'll talk a little bit about Valentina. Obviously, she's going to be the last card of this month. She is a 2/3 on reveal. Add a random 6 cost card to your hand. Give it -2 and -3 power. This can go all kinds of wrong and be very, very good at the same time. If you pull oh man, I don't know. I'll be honest. When I get those 6 pulls where I get a 6 card, and it just happened to me about an hour ago playing. Every single time when I get that free 6 card, I pull freaking Destroyer. Every single time. It never fails, or null. I'll get a 0-point null that will have no effect on anything, or I'll get Destroyer that's just going to wipe out my entire board.
Or Zola.
Or Zola. That's a nothing. Yes. Yeah. No, there's no doubt. And I mean, this is, I said, this probably will end up in Loki, I would think, because you know, she just seems like a Loki played card, but it's very random. You're going to get a 6 cost card. It's going to be a 4 cost, but it's also going to get -3 power. So this is very RNG based. And as to what you're going to get, who knows? I mean, if you end up pulling Red Hulk, you hit the jackpot, because you're going to get a 4 cost Red Hulk. That doesn't even matter if you take 3 off his power. But in many cases, it could turn around and just bite you in the butt. So what do you think of Valentina?
I think, like, off face value, it just like it's just wonky. Every time I see random, I'm just I just It reminds me of like Hellcow and Swordmaster. It's just like random discard, and random cards in general are just not great.
Yeah.
There's, again, I'll reiterate kind of what I said last time. The more and more cards that come into the game, the more and more this becomes like the spectrum, or like the line of difficulty playing this card just becomes exponentially bigger the more and more 6-drops that come into the game or are released in the game. So there are too many 6-cost cards in my mind that just like won't be beneficial to you. That this could just be a dead card. It is a 2/3, so I mean the stat line's decent. It's
Yeah,
not like
stat line's good.
It's not a 2/2 or 2/1. So I think it's good just to play a 2/3 on too. But when there's a chance that, I mean, I only see this being really played, like you said, in Loki or in a deck that's running something like Luke Cage. So like that -3 power that is affecting that card that you just drew, that random 6 cost is ending up being a 4 cost without any hindrance towards its power, on top of you just slamming it down. But I think it's just good for it's good for Loki in the fact that you could draw it and then say, oh, it's really good, I want to play this. Oh, it's kind of crap, I'm just gonna Loki it. So it's
True.
again, Loki gets better, which is wonderful.
I know, right?
Everything we want to.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering when they're gonna change Loki. Not every card around him, but yeah, it's a pass. I wouldn't ever really. I don't, even if I was a whale, I think I'd still skip this card.
Yeah.
It's not good for me. Overall, I don't see it being viable, and it really only goes into one deck, which is for me Loki, and I don't play a lot of Loki, so I don't, doesn't interest me.
I'm not a big Loki fan either, and Loki is coming back too into the meta. You're seeing it a lot more. At least I know I am. So it is becoming relevant again in the meta. But yeah, I agree. This is, to me, it kind of falls the way of almost like Snowguard does, where Snowguard is played in one place. She's really only played in Loki as well, and I agree. I think that this is going to be the same kind of a thing. So yeah. So that rounds out the season. I wanted to ask you too. We talked about Red Hulk a little bit before, but I want to ask you about this. I'm a big Thanos fan. Even before, one of my favorite comics is the Infinity Gauntlet comic and the series and Infinity War. When I saw Thanos on the big screen after Avengers, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Thanos is going to be in films.
He was so good.
Oh, it was amazing when I saw him in the chair and everything. I was like, yes, this is fantastic. But yeah, I want to ask you about this because I when I heard them say they were going to be more Thanos centric moving forward, I actually kind of thought to myself, you know what? I'm kind of down with that because when he was in his own deck, he was never being played. Let's face it. He could be a 620 in that deck and he's not getting played because they would have the 0 cost Mockingbird coming down. They would have the, other thing, and they very seldom ever played the card. So I was thinking somehow, and now I know my thoughts are a little nutty on this because I know it'd be way too overpowered, but somehow if you're going to make the stones just make him better or give him abilities, that's what I would do with it. I would say, okay, we already know the one stone is making him cost 1 less. The other stones, just give him other things. Maybe have him be where all the other cards in his lane, your opponent's cards in his lane get a -1. Just stuff like that. And then I was saying that now this would be amazing, but I know they won't do this. There's no way. But if you complete the gauntlet, I think you see an animation that the gauntlet is complete. And then all of a sudden he snaps, which they already have an animation for that anyway. So you snap, and then whatever lane he gets played into, he dusts the lane. So everything in that lane just goes. Your cards too. So it's not going to be, it's not necessarily conducive to your own stuff because he will destroy. Now I know the kid mentioned something too where he snaps half the cards off the board. Everywhere. Which I like that too. Awesome. I thought that's amazing because that's just RNG because you're not gonna, you're getting it, but then just he could get rid of all your good cards as well off your side of the board. So I like that. I think, to be honest, and I know people are missing this card a little bit. There are people still playing him. I've seen a couple decks still going around, not nearly as much. But what are your thoughts on Thanos? If they gave you the ropes for him and said, hey, do what you will with this card, how would you approach going forward with Thanos?
I think there's just so much to, like there's just so much to talk about with this card because
Yeah.
it's basically 7 cards in one. So you're it's really difficult to manage this. I think they came out with it and then it just got out of control. Like they didn't really know how to adjust or balance it.
Yep.
Because when the card was kind of like first out, and I mean, not a lot of people had it, and it wasn't really great. And now it just like over the past couple months, so it's just like, oh, Thanos is here again. Oh, it's Thanos again. Oh, great, Thanos is here. Hey, Twitter. Anybody else hate Thanos?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just become a hate fest for this card. So I would like them to kind of just completely change it if they could.
Hmm.
Kind of like you said. I don't know if it needs to be like I guess from a developer standpoint, I don't know how hard it would be for them to like it feels like they'd almost be adjusting the text to the card every time a
Yeah.
stone would be played.
Yeah.
So that might be difficult. Um, but yeah, I think making something more interesting instead of making him a 620, because I think at this point in the game, like having to play all of those and then him just becoming a 620, I don't think is impactful enough. And also it can just be shanked anyway, like unless you have Kyra, which Thanos decks usually do run. But I haven't seen a Thanos deck in since they last nerfed
Yep.
him. So that's the thing, is it's such a minor like, and I think the last change they made was just like a stone. They changed
Yeah.
one of the stones,
Yep.
and that was
And
enough
put him in
to
your
be
deck.
yep, that was enough
Yeah.
to just make him not unplayable. I know someone had like a number 1 deck the day after they nerfed him or something.
Yep.
But realistically, no one's really playing this anymore. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's my I don't have a specific take on it in terms of how I would change it, because I don't know. I think Kid and them did a good job making some crazy
Yeah.
making some crazy expectations for it, and yours as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think something, just because like for me, it's not like I want that like, oh no, it's Thanos feeling,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Me too.
I don't want it to be like, oh, that's cool. He's just 20 power. Cool. I want him to do
Yep.
something that no other card in the game does, which he does with the stones and everything. But I want him to just like, it just needs to be more. There's more emotion behind it. There needs to be
Yep.
more like the gauntlet needs to be a thing. And I think they're really missing out with the snap. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, there is a snap feature in the game, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's all behind him doing his snap, and it's like
Yep.
you're missing out, or like
Yep. Yep.
um, but yeah, it would be interesting if they made a change. And hey, they might do it now that it's kind of died down and it's lost its luster a little bit. But yeah, I think they're probably going to be focusing on other cards, unfortunately, rather
Yeah.
than looking at maybe let him cool down off for
Yeah.
a month or so, right, and then come back to him.
Yep.
But I agree, he definitely could use a more impactful change.
He's the biggest of the big bads. I mean,
Yep.
and he really should have something where, like I think is just more centric around his card, so that you want to play the card. And not to mention, I have some fire variants for him, man. I really want to play those cards. They're just sitting
Yeah.
in my deck, and nobody, you don't even see them being played because he never gets played. It's like, oh man, come on.
And you got the stones too that take like the backgrounds and stuff, so that's really cool. Like
Yeah.
you get gold stones or inked
Oh, I
stones. I think
love
that's
the
really
inked ones. Look
awesome.
so
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
pretty cool.
man. Yeah, agreed. I have the comic book cover. I love all the comic book
So do
covers.
I. Oh, it's so
Oh
good,
my God, they're so
so
good,
good.
dude. I absolutely love those, and I love to get them inked. And now that
Mhm.
I can use the flat gray border, it's even better because
Oh,
now they
it's
look like
beautiful.
an original art piece.
Yep.
So good, dude. Well, let me ask you that because I want to ask you at the beginning of the show, but before we end up the show here, are you a big Marvel fan? You enjoy, I know I talked to a lot of people who enjoy the films, enjoy comics and stuff like that. Is that kind of what brought you to Snap as well?
So yeah, I've never, not never, but I've been like very minor into the comics, not
Okay.
really dove too deep into that. Just because as a kid I never got into it, so I feel
Yeah.
like as an adult I never really, dived in or dove in. Um, but the movies, watched everything from the Marvel Cinematic Universe up until just a little bit after Infinity War and
Okay.
Endgame. Um, Loved that, and I feel like a lot of it's kind of lost its. The last thing I saw was I want to say like the Doctor Strange multiverse movie,
Multiverse of
and
Madness. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
me and my friend went to go watch it, and I hated it. I just feel like they've lost their way a little bit with they don't have their normal cast that they can fall back on. And to be honest, I thought that movie, because I really liked the What If series.
Yeah.
And when they had that Doctor Strange episode, it was like one of my favorite things.
Oh, the Dark Strange one. That was
Yes.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like when I saw the trailer and stuff for Multiverse of Madness, I thought, oh, it's gonna be like really about Doctor Strange and it's gonna like follow him. And then it was all about America Chavez. And I'm like,
Yeah.
nothing against her, the actress. I think she did a really good job. I just was very, very, very disappointed. And just kind of everything that was in the trailer was like all the exciting points to me.
Yeah.
So other than they had a really cool like music fight scene in that movie.
I love that with the notes and stuff. That was
with the harp and everything. Yeah, that was really cool.
Graphics are incredible on that.
Really, really cool. Yeah.
It's funny because Sam Raimi directed that. Now, Sam Raimi's been known, obviously, of course, he did the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man stuff, but before that, he was well known for horror, and you saw that in that film. It really, I remember when my daughter watched it, my youngest daughter went to see it, and she's not a horror fan. She's like, Dad, that disturbed me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like the parts where she was chasing them through the sewer. She's like, that's a horror. I said, yeah, oh yeah, there are definitely horror elements in that movie. And then when Strange came back to life, of course, then he was that other thing with the the dead body Strange and stuff. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, it was a different movie for sure. It was definitely, but I agree with you, and I've said this. I'm excited for Deadpool because I do think. And the new trailer just came out today, and oh my God, it's amazing. I'm excited for that because it is very difficult to lose two big personalities, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. To lose them and to keep continuing moving forward is a very difficult thing. Even though, yes, you have Tom Holland and everybody loves him, but look, the other stuff has been kind of meh. It's been a little subpar, and things have gotten just to the point of where everything is a little bit convoluted and stuff like that. I'm happy that they reined it in, and now they're kind of saying, all right, like some of this stuff is costing us way too much money. These series on TV, like She-Hulk, cost them $1 bazillion because of the special effects. So I'm kind of glad they're reining it in a little bit. I'm excited for some of the prospects they have now. X-Men 97. Fantastic, man. That is out of this world, unreal. I love that. I saw the originals, and I absolutely love that. And now, like I said, Deadpool, I think, and how they're going to go, which I'm hoping, which seems like Secret War. And if they're going to do that, then I think it can be really, really good. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Fantastic Four from what I'm seeing from the casting for that, and the fact that Galactus is in it, and no purple cloud this time for Galactus. He is so. I'm pretty excited moving forward with it, and I hope that they've learned from some of their mistakes, and I think they're going to get back to doing what they do best. So
yeah, I think they hit a snag. I think and it really sucks with Jonathan Major and that whole situation. I think Kang was their guy and was going to be their guy, and
no doubt
it affected Loki season 2. I think I don't think that season was nearly as good as the first one. And yeah, they had to pivot. They had to change things around, and that's completely moved them in a different direction. But I'm excited to see how things go. The last thing I actually saw was Guardians 3, and I really loved that.
Guardians was good.
It made me cry. It was really
God. my youngest one is there next to me, and her tears just when they were in that heaven thing up there. Oh, she lost it. She was, and then after the movie, she comes up to me. She's like, "Dad, I want a raccoon." I'm like, you go get your own house for that someday, and you have at it.
He can't talk, right?
I told her, I said, he's very cute, but raccoons will shred your entire house. No, that was very good. That was very, very good. I agree. But the Guardians movies always were, and I think that's attributed a lot to James Gunn, really, really good director who's now moved on to DC. And
which is unfortunate.
Well, it's unfortunate for Marvel, but it's fortunate for them.
The DC needs it. So,
I do think that DC will see improvement now, and that's, I think, needed. And because DC's been pretty bad, so yeah. But yeah, man, it's great to hear, and I know a lot of people that come to Snap come to it because of those reasons. You know, you get to see, and I'm sure I already said that in July. You know, we're going to get a Deadpool season. I know we will. They'd be silly not to. And they already data mined Cassandra Nova, who is looks to be the main villain in Deadpool. So we're going to get that at some point. So yeah, it's exciting, and knowing that they'll have stuff coming out. I think the next one then is Fantastic Four. Praying to the gods of Snap that they will up the power on my boy Galactus for that one when it happens. I highly doubt it, but we can ask. So
yeah, I miss Galactus. That was my favorite deck back in the day. It was
me too. That's all I played.
First card I ever purchased with tokens was Galactus. I'm like, oh my god, Galactus with Shuri into something, or
oh my Galactus,
God, like Nimrod Galactus, or it was just beautiful. I miss those days.
I tell the story with him. So I opened him from a cache back when the big bads first came out. So when they were first announced, I remember being I was in the bathroom getting ready for work. I had my phone there, and I'm like, yeah, let me open it. And I opened the cache up, and boom, there he is. I wanted Thanos, and I saw him, and I'm like, and I read his text. I'm like, now what the hell good is this? I'm like, I'm not going to want to blow up my other 2 lanes. This is stupid. Little did I know, man. If I would have known back then that whole Spider-Man thing was going on, and I could have done, holy cow, man, I would have been. I definitely would have hit Infinite well before waiting still to do it today with that out there, because that was just obnoxiously bad. But yeah, man, I love, it's my favorite animation, and that's why to this day I still play it. I love seeing the planets explode and him coming down with the McNeil before. I absolutely love it. That's I absolutely love it. It's amazing. I know Intero Bang's a big Galactus fan.
Oh yeah.
And one of the people, him and I talk about it, and he was even saying, he's like, we got to start a Galactus clan when that happens. Speaking of which, and we'll end the show here, but what did you think about this? I mean, this showed up in data mines. We were talking earlier on the show about some changes maybe being made, or necessary changes. So this came out. This is clans. Clans are currently limited to 25 members and 25 applicants at a time. There will be clan-wide bounties and rewards, as well as personal bounties and rewards. There will be card-specific missions. You can apply tags to make your clan more easily findable. You can put a floor on highest rank achieved to have infinite-only clans, and also the same for collection level. If a clan leader doesn't return after a week, members can claim ownership to keep clans from stagnating while a leader leaves. Now, the one thing I did point out in my audio show earlier today is that just be a little wary of joining a clan, because I've been in these in things. I've been in them in Warcraft and in other games, but you do have to devote time and a lot. If the clan is a good one and not one where people are just coming and going all the time, because you'll find that too. But if the clan is a steady one and you have a bunch of people, they're going to expect you to be playing. So for some reason, you're a more casual player like me who can't play all the time. You may find yourself on the outs there because you just can't be doing the stuff you need to do. So these are fun, yes, but a lot of times they're fun for people who can really play the game and devote a lot of hours to it. So I think it's going to be a cool thing. I do think the 25 applicants might be a little low, especially for, again, people like yourself, the content creators. I know that, my God, can you imagine that, like the cozies of the world are going to have everybody wanting to join a clan with him. He'll have to have applicants, like, I don't know how he's going to choose. But I think maybe they should have upped the total a little bit, especially for you guys that are doing the creation of content and doing the gameplay streams.
Yeah, I think they don't want the game to break. I'm thinking that's I think that's their let's start it here and see how it goes, and maybe we'll increase it later. I don't know how I really feel about this yet, just because the 25 for me is fine. Like, I'll find a couple friends that play, and we will try to get as many people in as we can, and also that we know who will probably do their stuff. And if they don't, we're not going to sit there and harp on them, right? But I hope they make this I hope they make this feature like something you want to do. Like, I don't want it to be something where it's just, oh, here's you have a group, and if your group wins 10 matches this week, you get 50 credits each. Like,
Yeah, that's
I
kind of,
don't
yeah,
want it to be something that's just meaningless. Like, I
yeah.
don't, it needs to be impactful. I want to get I want to get extra collector tokens every week. I want to get
Yep.
extra, I want to get a
Well,
couple hundred credits. I want to
yeah,
get like special variants, special titles, special emotes. I
yeah,
want cool shit in here. I don't
yeah.
want the standard, I don't want weekend mission rewards. That's what
Oh
I don't
God, yeah,
want.
no.
I don't want
They've
that.
been getting progressively worse.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm hesitant to like be excited about it. Yes, I think it's great if it adds additional stuff, additional rewards, whatever that might be. Um, I wonder if there will be at some point like a clan leaderboard where teams like a cumulative teams. I don't know, infinite rankings or whatever that
yeah,
is.
that'd be cool.
So that would be interesting. But yeah, I just want it to be meaningful and impactful. I'm so sick and tired of seeing these rewards and these missions and all this other stuff that comes out. That's just, it's like, it doesn't make me want to get on the game more. I'm just on the game because I'm a creator and I love playing the game still, but
Yep.
like that doesn't make me want to play nothing has come to the game that's made me want to play it more. Like
Yeah.
it's not a 2200 gold emote doesn't make me want to come to the game and play it
Yep.
more.
Yep.
Clans might be exciting and it might be like, I hope it's as exciting as being like, hey guys, like let's get on and let's play, like let's do this thing, let's get this thing done because we'll all get 300 collector tokens. Like that would be cool. Like it would be interesting. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate part. But
Yeah.
I can see it being like exclusive cosmetics, like titles and avatars and stuff like that, which is cool. But again, I just want it to be impactful. I want resources. I want to be able to not have to spend money on the game. I want more avenues to be able to play my free to play game as free to play, rather than having to feel FOMO and doing things out of the ordinary, like buying $50 bundles that I don't want to buy.
Yep.
So that's it. It's just I want it to be impactful. I want it to be good. Like I said, I love the game. I have plenty of people that I am close with that love the game.
Yep.
So we want to see it succeed, but I just don't want this to be another like greed fest of, or like greed fest / or it's just something that doesn't mean anything and you just play the game how you normally played it and there's really no difference in you wanting to get on or get off the game.
Yeah. They could really hit a home run with this if they wanted to. Like
Mhm.
you were saying, they really can. Take a pain point, like we had talked about some of them earlier. Like you had mentioned, take a pain point like an emote and make it a thing where everybody in the clan, if they do what they need to do, can get the emote.
Mhm.
Or like you were just, a special type of variant that you can only get if you accomplish certain things. Yeah, they're gonna have to do that, because if it's to the point of that you made where it's just kind of boring run of the mill like weekend mission stuff, no one's gonna do it. No
No.
one's gonna do it because it's not worth the effort, and it's not,
Mhm.
again, like I'd said prior, it takes time. This takes some devotion where
Mhm.
you have to play all the time. You can't just ignore things, or you're not going to get these things, and you're not going to get the goals or the rewards or whatever it is. So
Mhm.
they have to make it worth people's while. There's no
Yep.
doubt.
Mhm.
There's no doubt.
Completely
So,
agree.
well, we'll see. Who knows? I mean, we do have, like I said, an OTA coming up this Thursday, I believe it is. Usually they do OTAs on Thursday, so I'm sure that's probably when it'll be. But we will see. Maybe that gets introduced with the OTA, although I doubt it, because this is usually a patch thing. Usually OTAs are just smaller changes.
Mhm.
So in any case, hopefully we'll see what's coming up soon. Well, hey, man, listen, really appreciate you coming on. I had a blast chatting with you. Again, tell all the people where they can find you and when you stream. Let everybody know to come and check you out.
Yeah, the name Super Duper Ben pretty much everywhere. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. Like I said earlier in the show, YouTube hopefully will be back up and be like 2 to 3 videos a week, and streams hopefully 2 to 3 streams a week. I usually stream in the mornings because I'm unemployed, so I currently am doing like 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Eastern streams, streaming for a couple hours and then hopping off. But yeah, hopefully I can see you guys. Like I said, if you are on Twitter at all, I know it's a scary space to be, but you can find me over there. I try to keep up to date with new variants that are out and news, and like I said, stuff on the Discord channels that maybe people don't see. I try to express that on my Twitter, so it gets more notifications and people can be up to date on what's actually going on with Marvel Snap. But yeah, I really appreciate you having me. It's really enjoyable to talk with somebody that enjoys Snap and enjoys the same things and same interests that I do. So.
Yeah, man. Anytime, absolutely. Was a blast having you, and always love to chat with other people who enjoy this game, and you know, like we can share the interest and stuff with the Marvel stuff and the MCU and everything else like that too. And I got to see your animals, and that's always awesome. I was I was talking. I got that. I had to get the variant, the Cosmo, because I loved it so much. That Pandar Cosmo.
Yeah.
Literally,
beautiful.
when I looked at that card, I saw my dog, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I had to get that. So that's fantastic. So, and I see you got props, dude. You got a hammer back there.
Yeah,
I got
the actual Infinity Gauntlet. No, I'm just.
Is that the Lego one?
Yeah, the Lego Mjolnir.
I've got it literally right up here on my right.
It's one of those things where, like, if you're a Marvel fan, you have to have it. Like,
yes.
Yeah, it might be $80, but you have to have it.
I actually have the. I brought this on the kids show the one day. I have this one too.
Oh, nice! You got the big one,
the big working one.
Yeah.
Yes, that makes noise.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this is
great.
It's huge, and it's yeah. So I'm all into this kind of stuff, man. I love it, and I have my Hero Clicks Galactus over here, and yeah, dude, this whole room is filled with all my little props. I have the Doctor Strange amulet as well, and the working one. So yeah, and my wife wants to. My wife wants to kill me, but that's beside the point. I'm 54 years old, and I am like a 20-year-old kid. That's what it's cool with me, because I never thought in all my life I would see this. I really didn't. You know, I grew up with Superman, Christopher Reeve's Superman, and Michael Keaton's Batman, and you know, I never thought in all my years that I would see a lot of these comic books that I love so much coming to the screen and stuff like that. So it's brilliant, and that's part of the reason why I love Snap. As I said to you with the Man Thing stuff, the reason I love him is because of a book I read back in the 70s, and he is one of my favorite cards and my favorite characters. I got to see him on Werewolf by Night, and I'm like, this is fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool. It just hits so many different age gaps. That's why, like I said earlier, like if it didn't have, you know, the Marvel Snap tag, like the Marvel tag to this game, I don't think we'd see as many people in here. But it's like that's what drew you in. It's what drew me in. It's and like we have a 20-year gap, year difference in our age. So like just that alone tells you that there's probably people in their 60s playing this game.
No doubt.
People in their teens playing this game. So it's just all over the place. So
Yep, absolutely, no doubt. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for me. Of course, thank you again to Super Doopa Ben, and go check him out. Check his streams out as well. He's a morning streamer, so there you go. You don't see a lot of that. I know I like the late night streamers because I'm up at late at night, but there you go. He streams in the morning, so if you're awake in the morning, check him out. And yeah, I will return actually tomorrow night. I am talking to Gunny T. Now that'll be audio only, but he and I are just going to chat about that league that he is starting up, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. It'll be released on audio probably around 10 o'clock or so p.m. Eastern time. This one, of course, will be out in audio format as well as here on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video as well, because it fights that nasty YouTube algorithm. So please make sure you do that. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leave me some comments, as I will always answer, no matter where they are, whether it's the audio or this. And yeah, so that's going to do it for me, guys. And this episode of Snap Decisions. I hope you all have a great one. Please stay safe. Be kind to one another always. And hopefully I will talk to you in the next one. Have a great one, guys, and I'll talk to you all soon.